Let's try to paint a picture here. If you have not seen my video, Illustration of the Urban Village, you might want to stop this video and check it out as it shows a basic concept of an urban village. So with that in mind, I will also expand on that principle incorporating the political structure. Also check out my other video about what's wrong with the concept of a large government. Politically speaking, the highest level a person could aspire to in the political arena would be the mayor. We don't need national governments monopolized by psychopaths consuming off its citizens. I can't think of any country in history that was a government for the people. It's always been for the wealthy. There might be better examples and concepts we can borrow from our history. Switzerland is a country I respect and will borrow military and defense concepts from, as well as borrow education concepts from Finland, but those will be addressed in another video. We're going to be removing the middlemen and shortening the gap between yourself and those in political positions. You should be able to talk to them, have dinner with them, and know who their family is. They need to be local. We can't have anyone calling the shots from thousands of kilometers away. To keep politicians in check and accountable, you need to be able to look them in the eye. They need to be able to hear you, and more importantly, be able to share empathy with you, your village, and its surrounding communities. Our politicians need to be part of the family, or close enough to enjoy a community potluck with on a regular basis. So let's start small and work our way up. For now, I'll define the community as a grouping of villages in an area that makes sense to the local environment. Currently, we have this in place, but I think it's still too large. Breaking them down into smaller sub-communities will help make it easier to organize manpower for larger tasks that can't be solely performed by the village. A quick example, the construction of large infrastructure. As a community and its members within it, we will own and operate different companies and specialize in different kinds of work. Let's use trades as an example. A community can specialize in the skills, organization, manpower, engineering, and execution of performing their trades-related duties within a region. They can organize themselves with other regions to scale up for the demand for even larger regional projects, such as the construction and maintenance of our water and sewage system. I'll get into many aspects and duties on a community level with other subjects such as civil engineering, sports and recreation, to food production in other videos. This particular community, with my hypothetical division of approximately 38 different villages, gets squared in by the surrounding main roads. Each of these villages will have a chief. We can worry about the titles later. The chief is a leader. He leads from the front, not dictating from the rear, and is elected by his village through the respects of his family. Not everyone wants to take care of political matters or aspire to become the leader. This person might not actually want the position, but will take on the role as the village is asking him to do so. I've learned the best leaders are not the ones that want to be leaders, but just get the job done without looking for career compensation. Career leaders often rely on their title, not their abilities. They are dictators, and we don't want them in our political structure. Our leaders need to be natural go-getters that work hard for not only their own merits, but because they like helping others as well. He's likely middle-aged, experienced at getting tasks done, and works the hardest in the village to keep it going. This person is cherished for his social bonds within the village, and has the experience to be the voice and reason everyone turns to for answers. His role is to take care of the well-being of the village and will spend most of his time within the village. Politically speaking, he spends a lot of time with other chief members of adjacent villages, organizing tasks within the community. He will also spend time with the elected senator of that community in community meetings that most people may not wish to attend. Now I'm saying this in his context, but this easily can be a woman as well. In fact, in our future, there will be more of a trend for women to fulfill the roles of political leadership. I'll explain in another video why women are going to be trending into positions of influence and be active members of our social hierarchy, and why it's not a bad thing for us guys. Women will more likely fill political roles over men, and men will fill more management roles for village and community-sized companies. So in this community example, there will be 38 villages, and they will elect a senate to represent the community. The Senate's role is to meet with other senators in the region and discuss politics. Effectively speaking, as a group, they hold the power. They may live on your street or the one next to it. So if you got a problem, just like a friend, you can go and have a talk and hold them accountable for their words and actions. This close proximity and relationship will go a long ways to preserving and reducing corruption. The psychology behind this will be talked about later in future videos. Now the last level of this political structure would be the mayor. His role is to be the voice of the region. He does not hold any real power. More of a diplomat for both internal and external purposes, he works closely with the Senate and the Senate's guidance and tries to translate the sum of many voices to a congruent message. He will need to speak on behalf of his region to other adjacent or distant regions. He will also be the voice to speak to in his local region to deliver important messages. None of these political roles or jobs will take in any kind of salary. Yes, you heard me right. This is a responsibility to the people and cannot be bought. It will be the responsibility of the village and community to support and care for these political figures. Politicians need to be leaders that lead from the front, and if they have been working hard throughout their entire lives prior to, it will be very easy to support them because they have already done the work to be self-sustainable within the residing village. Most of them will be our late great-grandparents anyway, and this will be their way of leveraging their many decades of experience and wisdom to their younger family and community. This is starting to sound like a republic. On a regional level, it is. On a community level, it's more like a democracy. And at the village level, it's an oligarchy. None of this is an empire. There is not another level of politics to govern regions. On a regional level, I believe a republic style of organization makes the most sense. The power of government is held by the community. The village gives power to leaders they elect within their community to serve their interests. These leaders are known as our senators and are responsible for helping all the people in the country, not just a few members. I use country loosely as the borders will represent geographical areas, not borders separating people by law. For an example, I live in British Columbia, Canada. To the east is the province of Alberta, and to the south is the state of Washington and Montana. Currently, there are 2 different countries with 4 different codes of laws. Many are very similar, but there are many differences as well. But we border one another. We still live relatively close to one another, and therefore there are neighbors. Why should we politically distinguish each other any differently? On a community level, I believe a democracy makes a lot of sense. I think when you contain the members of a democracy to a few odd thousand, you potentially can get more minds thinking and talking about important subjects. It's easier to brainstorm ideas in these smaller communities to bring out the best in group thinking. Votes only matter if the voices behind it can be heard. 5,000 versus 500 million, even the smallest voices potentially can get heard, and who knows what creative ideas they might have. The community votes for the senator and conducts their own inner politics locally. And lastly, on the village level, we have the oligarchy. I know this term sounds evil. It's commonly used to describe the most wealthiest, powerful people on the planet with their secretive clubs. Is that not proof enough that it works? We can't live in a world anymore where so few control so much. The benefits are, as elders in the village, with the experience, leading by example from the front, can better manage and delegate responsibilities amongst its family. All business models work this way. As members of the family grow and find their interests, they will carry out different tasks and responsibilities throughout their lives. Some people are content with finding a balance with their responsibilities within the village and being part of an effective team that benefits the family as a whole. Some people wish no more than to just take care of the family by doing the cooking and cleaning and other related chores, and have no interest in managing the equity of village assets. Both are very important tasks to the well-being of the family. Some people will work harder, and they should be compensated in some way to reflect that. The oligarchy structure can better delegate where and who gets what privileges and when. Remember, try not to think of this as one person in control of an entire village. The village is a family, and there will be many family discussions talking about how best to conduct the well-being of everyone. But how do we keep global issues in check? Well, that's going to integrate itself into our education system. Through our education system, we will evaluate broad social and environmental concerns about our role as humans. We share this wonderful home we call Earth with many other creatures, and we have the responsibility and intellect to care for it all. I'll get to that in another video. I'll discuss in future videos the concept of transparency and open conversation about sensitive subjects we deem uncomfortable today, like finance and even our sexuality. The village will be quite transparent because it's a team and will function the best when we can pull together and brainstorm problems we are conditioned today to be taboo. Look forward to future videos where I'll try to explain how to create think tanks within our villages. I also want to show you how leveraging a community in a massive brainstorming exercise can solve larger problems that we so commonly hope and rely on current governments to solve and implement, because they can't. They never have and never will solve problems outside of their own personal interests. Thank you for watching my video. As you can see, a lot of work needs to happen. Consider much of my early work as an introduction to these concepts as a draft. They will need to be tweaked and adjusted, and I will need your help to make that happen. Remember, Rome was not built in a day. This will take time to implement and improve upon. I won't live long enough to implement my long-term strategy, as it will take many generations to achieve it. I just hope to lay the foundation so that our future generations can build upon this vision I have for today, for our future, for a better life and a better planet.